Greetings everybody, today we'll review one of the best cars in automotive history. I think many car companies had this word said at least once in their meetings. We will create the most luxurious car in the world. And then reality kicked their balls so hard that everybody forgot about that meeting and they continued their way of making boring sedans for suicidal fathers. But not Mercedes. After those words, Mercedes created truly one of the best cars in the world. They made the biggest hype in luxury world and then catastrophically failed in eyes of automotive world. They failed harder than we failed in our parents' eyes. In 90s, British luxury cars were making cars for market in 1970s. Rolls-Royce and Bentleys made cars for people who lived in the 1970s with extra buttons. The technology in those cars was very old and nobody wanted to spend money on innovation. Even with the huge publicity stunt like when Mike Tyson gave away his barely scratched Rolls-Royce to a total stranger, British luxury cars were not cool and didn't have huge demand. Toyota had their perfect Yakuza mobile called Century that they did not want to share, just like overweight father does not want to share his 2 a.m. snacks with kids, and they didn't sell it outside of Japan. American brands like Lincoln and Cadillac had tried to innovate, but unfortunately nobody took them seriously because 99% of their clients were dying of old age. So Mercedes decided to spend $1 billion on developing new Maybach. And in 1997 at Tokyo Motor Show, Mercedes showed prototype of its Maybach, and press went wild for the Maybach. All auto magazines and auto TV shows were talking about the new luxury tank from Germany, but car was not completely ready. So metallic and aluminum body was constantly tested with independent air suspension for the best ride in the world. 5-speed automatic transmission was tuned for smoother gear changes. And after 5 years of non-stop testing, in 2002 Mercedes introduced production model in the USA. Presentation of new Maybach was one of the best publicity stunts in automotive industry. It should be a case study in every business school. From Germany, Maybach traveled to England in a see-through box and then they put it on the ship called Queen Elizabeth. This is the most royal name in the world, and then they sent it to USA. No one was expecting presentation like this. They delivered it to American soil on a helicopter from a ship. Everybody was looking at the helicopter that carried a luxurious car. Then, car carefully came out of the box and was escorted by NYPD. Inside of the car was just a driver and no one else, no president of any country or some billionaire, just a driver. It was the best presentation in automotive history. During the presentation, Maybach introduced the price. Price started from $350,000 for 5.7 and $390,000 for 6.2. Those prices were for base models. Maybach claims that every model is unique and there are no same Maybachs in the world. You can choose leather from alligator, cow, snake and even ostrich. Also you can choose any wood in the world. Maybach even offered wood from your mother's-in-law favorite tree, so it will be more satisfying when you're sitting in the car and touching those polished branches. It had so much options to ruin environment that after each sold Maybach, every 2 Greenpeace activists glued their hands to their gay friends for moral support. Also you can order a carbon fiber or granite or of course gold trim in your interior. And granite I think personally is overkill, but it is Maybach. Also Maybach was considered to be a fart-proof tank, because they sold their wonderful perfume that you can change manually in the interior, and even perfume looked luxurious. Panoramic roof with magical elements of lighting was from $50,000. Maybach was offered with such unique features as audio system from Bose with 21 speakers, special box for cigars so they would not get damp and all squishy. Roof was offered not only with the glass but with the sun panels, so you can have same temperature even with the turned off engine. It had so many features that the handbook was 800 pages. To stop this huge car, disc brakes had 2 brake calipers, because 3 tons of luxury on wheels is not easy to stop. The only problem that Maybach had that the name Maybach was not very popular and almost dead for many decades. So Mercedes started aggressively showing everybody who is Mr. Maybach. He was responsible for the first motorcycle with combustion engine. Also, he had patented first hydraulic brakes. Together with Mr. Daimler, they made Daimler Company, and he was responsible for the first Mercedes engine. Then Mr. Maybach had a son that he opened Maybach Company together with, and they made one of the best cars in the world. After the death of Maybach Sr., Maybach Jr. made engines for ships, cars, and developed engines for tanks that were sold to an Austrian painter that had problems with chosen people and was always angry. Maybach name was responsible for automotive industry that we have today. After all that PR, Maybach started selling sunglasses, bags, clothing, and other unnecessary overpriced items to general public. Every icon of show business loved Maybach. They sold non-stop to everybody, and the dictators loved that car. 8 cabrio versions were made and sold for 1 million each. Also, Maybach were selling 2-door Maybachs, and few of them are right now in Russia. And Maybach enjoyed their good sales and huge hype, and then out of nowhere competition came to the market and Maybach lost their positions. Rolls-Royce made car not for 1970s but for new era of 2000s with BMW money, and Bentley made new models every day with financial help from VW. German British brands were cheaper but still had status of luxury tanks, and they took huge chunk of market that Maybach developed for years. Before Maybach came to that market, it was old money, it was boring, not interesting, not sexy. Another reason of Maybach failure was new W221. It was so good that Maybach lost its status. Nobody was thinking about Maybach anymore. W221 looked like a mini Maybach and it had more features. It was faster, lighter, more affordable, and it had that status that Maybach and W221 came from one company. After 10 years, Maybach sold only 3,000 units. Their plan was to sell at least 3,000 units per year, but they barely sold 3,000 in 10 years period. And in 2012, last Maybach was made. An era of non-compromise spending was over. Mercedes did great job of creating, introducing and promoting great product, but unfortunately everything failed. In my opinion, if Mercedes continue making the new Maybachs and spending money on it, today it would be one of the leaders in the luxury segment. But I do understand Mercedes. Back then, there were no Bugattis selling for $1 million, for $10, $15 million, Koenigseggs and Paganis, so mentality of customer was not ready to spend so much on a car. So it was a huge risk. Technically, car was better in every possible way than its competitors when it came out. The drag coefficient was 0.3. It was slicker than Ferrari 612 and Lamborghini Murcielago. Engine was developed by AMG. The 5.5 twin-turbo V8 developed 550 brake horsepower, and 6-liter twin-turbo that was developed by AMG made 612 brake horsepower. 0 to 100, this 3-ton luxury car achieved in 5.4 seconds. All pillars and joints were covered with sound isolation material. There is a rumor that sound isolation is 200 plus kilograms in every Maybach. Glass in the door is 7.2 millimeters and it is laminated from both sides. Now let's talk about some fun facts. V12 engines in the Maybach were the most powerful production engines. Maybach 62 is the longest production car even today. This is Boris Berezovsky. He's responsible for Putin's Russia that we live and have today. And his bodyguard reported that sometimes he loved to have sex at the back of the seats of Maybach at 200 km per hour speed on a highway. Boris Berezovsky is the billionaire that controlled Russia for many years. This is the only brand that was owned by the country where it was created. Rolls-Royce was owned by Germans and Bentley was also owned by Germans. Marky Mark owned and loved his 57S and was driving himself this car. 57S considered to be a little bit more harder and better and cornering, because the chassis is stiffer and for some reason was oriented more on aggressive driving. Maybach chassis is made out of W140 chassis. because Mercedes knew that W140 chassis was the best chassis for the smooth ride. It is said that today Maybach is just a trim and not fully built car, but maybe in near future we will see V12 Maybach from factory. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think about the Maybach. Take care and bye bye.